All right, we are in Oshawa. This is Ian Farr's Mini. We're gonna do a video on it today. You sure it's okay to wash this thing? It might rust, man.
It will. This is why I don't wash it normally.
It might actually rust away. It might actually rust away as we try to do this, but we're gonna give it a shot. We're gonna talk about what? We're not talking about business and cars. You wanna get into some red pill stuff?
Everything.
We're gonna get into everything today. So, let's wash this thing, clean it up, make it look presentable, and then we'll hop in the car. I'll probably drive it for a little bit, and then we'll talk about life. Stuff to make you guys better. All right, what's up, my brothers from another mother? In the car with Ian Farr. If you guys want to click on the top right of the screen, I'll put up the card of the video we did a couple years ago in his supercharged M3. Ian was kind enough back then to get me kind of rolling with entrepreneurs in cars. My whole theme back then was let's hang out with entrepreneurs in their success rides and talk about some of the obstacles that they overcame in life. So we're just going to kind of like freewheel it today. We're hanging out in his Mini Cooper. How would you describe this car?
I would say, oh, I should have a better elevator pitch for this car. Just, it's a fun driver.
Yeah.
Some guys will go and do serial numbers matching, all correct. Like my cousin has this incredible Mini Cooper S.
Yeah, this is not serial matching. This is leaky. We just took it to the car wash.
Everything, exactly. This is like, hey, I like that steering wheel.
It's almost like a resto mod, except for you don't see the rust.
You don't see the rust.
Yeah,
that's the key. It's hidden.
So let's call it that.
It's just hidden.
So we're just going to go for a quick rip. The audio is not going to be great because the engine's really loud, but I just want to give you a little bit of the optics of what it is like driving in a right-hand drive car in North America. Experience some of this. We'll do a bit of a walk around, and then we're going to go in his airplane hangar. We're at the Oshawa airport, and we'll shoot the shit about some valuable stuff that he thinks would help you guys become better versions of yourselves. So fire this bad boy up.
Oh, yeah, they're super close together.
And
so just one click and push button start.
Oh, okay. So one click, and this is it here?
Yep. Press and hold.
Oh, there we go.
All right.
Okay. Are we in gear or no?
No, that's neutral.
I want to drive in your Tesla.
That'd be ideal. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, right? Yeah, they're like an inch apart.
I'm going to have to maybe like lean a little bit this way.
Right.
But we'll get this bad boy going. Oh, no power steering. It's very British, it is.
So you're driving on the wrong side of the road already. You think you're in England.
Shit. It's really good. You know what? Well, for those guys there, can I pass this point?
Yeah, just pass them. Keep as far away from him as possible. Stay away.
Yeah, for those guys that have watched my channel for a while, they all know that I'm originally from the UK and I spent some time there. The signal stock doesn't cancel?
Doesn't cancel, and it's going to beep at you until you set it back. But I've not put it back yet. We'll not put it in yet. You got to get that.
Should we see if we can race a minivan? It does sound badass though. Oh, here we go. Green light. Oh, here we go. Yeah, this is not a car you'd want to drive very far, right?
No, it's just, it's tool around.
Like the pedals are off to the left, the steering wheel's off to the left.
Yeah.
You'd be legitimately worried if you ever got hit by anything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've never taken it on the highway or anything.
Oh! Okay, apparently you've got to be mindful of bumps in this.
Yeah.
I don't think I've laughed so hard in a car in a long time. They used to rally these things, didn't they?
A lot. It's funny how many guys I've had come up to me at a gas station or a restaurant or wherever I'm at with this, tell me the stories of how back in England, back in the day, they used to rally them or race them or whatever it was.
This is the same problem I have in the R8. I can't see stoplights. I got to do this.
Yep.
Only it's not an R8. I think I know why whenever I see a guy driving an old Mini, it's always dodging and darting around the road.
That's right.
It's dodging all the bumps and potholes.
I didn't go so much there.
I love it. All right, Ian, give me a quick rundown of this creation of yours.
Yeah, so I bought this car a couple years ago. It was meant just to be a driver. I wasn't going to do anything to it. But then I just kind of started, and one thing led to another. New engine, all new interior, suspension, brakes, pretty much the whole thing. I really should have bought a shell and just worked up from there.
And what year is it?
This is a 1987, so anybody who knows Mini Coopers, they didn't import these in 1987. They had stopped importing them sometime before. So this was actually owned by a guy who moved here from England. This was his personal car. So 1987 is one of the only ones, of course, right-hand drive.
Right-hand drive import. All right, let's do a quick walk around the car and take a peek. You want to pop the hood? I think you said you did the engine in this too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's purty. Air horn setup?
Air horns. Yeah.
And you said it's
okay, so that
got
is
about twice the power as what it came with from the factory?
Well, some of them came with like 60 horsepower for the little ones. This is the 1.275 liter, 1275 cc, but it's been bored out 40 over.
Sweet.
And it's got a throated up cam and
that's all the noise you heard while we're driving.
Yep.
HID headlights, rally fog lights in the front. Not much clearance in the front there, right, for your Mini UK plate.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's cool. All right, and nice. And the wheels, what do we got here? These are like what, 12 inch?
Those are 13 inch.
13 inch?
The biggest wheels available for the Mini.
Nice.
I had to bring those up from the States.
Any other features around the outside of the car?
For the most part, it's mostly as I got it, but the wheels and the bright work is all replaced, tail lights, that kind of thing. All the lighting's been replaced. I had to redo the electrical system in it.
Cool. All right, well, let's head in the hangar. We're going to sit down and talk a little bit about some stuff that will help men become a better version of themselves. And let's hop in here.
Okay.
What we got here? Ooh la la. All right, guys, so we just spent some time in the car driving around, a little walk around. We're in Ian's hangar. What kind of plane is this, by the way?
This is a Cirrus SR-22.
What does that translate to for people that don't know planes like me?
Fast and cool.
Okay, yeah, it's definitely fast. Like one of the things that I notice is a plane guy. Like I've always loved World War II planes, and Ian will remember when I got in the hangar, I just ran my hand across the wing and it's smooth. There's no rivets, no bolts, nothing. It's all carbon fiber. This is like the Lamborghini of propeller planes.
You could call it that. It's got the same Lambo doors.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
you're right. So we're gonna hang out in his hangar for a bit. We're gonna hang out in his hangar for a bit. Got some toys around us. The supercharged M3 is back there with another Bimian car, I suppose.
Supercharged M3.
Another supercharged M3. But Ian's going to dispense some of his, I guess, experiences and wisdom, red pill stories perhaps, that will help you guys live a better life, become a better version of yourself. So what's the first little nugget gem that you want to dispense to the younglings?
Well, so we were just talking about, a business tip, for example, and I mentioned lean startups.
Yeah.
And I've always kind of subscribed to, the idea of start lean. I'll have a lot of friends, they'll ask me, how do I start up my a business? I want to do X. Well, they say, what do I do first? Get incorporated? Do I find my lawyer? It's like, let's do a proof of concept first.
I always say prove that people want to give you money for your idea.
Exactly. Because, a lot of the time, they say fail fast, which I somewhat believe in, but in that case, I say fail cheaply.
Right. I agree.
So if there's no market for your idea, there's no market. You move on, you do the next thing. And if you haven't sunk 10, 20 grand into trying out that idea, I think you're better for it.
Awesome. So first tip's a business tip, fail hard, fail fast.
Fail cheap.
Fail cheap. Fail cheap is important.
Yeah.
Don't burn through money. You see people all the time on TV shows. Let me just take that. You see people all the time on TV shows like Shark Tank and Dragons and all that sort of stuff, and they'll go in and they've burned through the farm. And the dragons or the sharks will say, beat this thing with a stick and bury it 6 feet under and get rid of it. It's a bad idea. You've burned through everything. Stop burning through your family resources. So completely agree. So let's give them nugget number 2. What do you want to give them on that? You said something to do with marriage or the societal norms of marriage.
Yeah, I find this is kind of interesting. Me, like every other, every person out there, was raised with the idea of you grow up, you go to school, you go to university, you get a good job, you get married, you have kids. And sort of along the way, I realized that doesn't actually have to be the script. I'll see a lot of people even still kind of going into and approaching life that same way. I did get married. I kind of followed that step. I was lucky. I married a wonderful woman, but it wasn't the right dynamic for me. And my marriage ended up failing. And actually, I don't even want to use the word failing, because it wasn't a failed marriage. It was a marriage that was just not the right fit for me.
Right.
And it kind of opened my eyes to the fact that the societal norm of a script, you don't necessarily need to follow that. Just like, people find it very acceptable to not follow the societal norm and become an entrepreneur, for example. But with marriage...
So let me ask you this. At what point did you kind of unplug and recognize that all that, beating and pandering that people have been shoving into you all your life was not necessarily like the path that you need to follow? And what was the trigger? Like, that's what I'm curious about right now, is what was the trigger that kind of like woke you?
I would say that the roots of it came with my separation and seeing the separations of those around me.
Yeah.
A lot actually came from you, Richard, and your channel and some of the resources that you've spoken about over the years. And just taking a critical look at society. And that's one of the things.
Asking why.
Asking why. Like, that's it.
Asking why several times, like why you're doing something. I often have people ask me about certain things when I'm coaching them. Let me just take that for the audio. I often have people ask me certain things when I'm coaching them about, how do I do this? Or, I want to do this. And then quite often I'll pressure them and I'll ask them, well, why do you want to do that? And I'll have them ask themselves that question 3, 4, 5 times even, to make sure that they're clear on why they're making that drastic life change, for themselves, and whether or not it's what they truly desire or if it's what somebody impressed upon them to desire.
Yeah, correct. And I think a lot of it is an unconscious social programming. And I think that's exactly it. Actually, that's another business point, by the way. In my companies, one of our core values is ask why 5 times, and it's sort of like a regression question, like tree that you go down, and why did that happen? Why did that happen? And it helps you to solve the root cause of problems.
Yep.
And doing that with things that seem like established social norms, it comes right out.
To kind of like recap on that part of, I guess, the unplugging for societal norms when it comes to marriage and sort of things. I've often said to people when I'm coaching them, getting married, having the house with the white picket fence and the station wagon and the dog and the 2 1 kids, it's not like some level of achievement in life that unlocks. Let's talk about another tip for, the younglings, because I know that you got a lot of experience and some gray in your hair and, a lot of toys around us, which, have come from a lot of hard work. What do you want to give them next?
I'll give an experience share.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, thanks. Some people will look, I'm not rich by any stretch. I place a large value on toys. I like cars. Now I'm into airplanes. I think that's pretty cool. I've got a very modest house. I'm not by any stretch rich, but what I can say is that the things that I do have now that I'm in my late 30s, I basically sold my 20s for. I founded my company in 2002. I actually did 2 startups in the same year, both of them still running today. And I worked, 100, 120-hour weeks, and that was basically my 20s. My 30s are fantastic, wouldn't trade it for the world, but I did trade my 20s for that. So I think there's a little bit of a decision that needs to be made. I'm sure there's some people who work half as hard as I did and made 5 times as much.
Yeah.
But my particular story is that, I have a comfortable 30s because of sacrificing my 20s. And some people might choose to go that route. Some people may not.
Let me just top up on that. Do the fucking work is what I want to add to it, because a lot of people want success, but they don't want to do the work to be successful. There's kind of a meme or an image that really resonates in my head a lot, and it's a picture of a wolf with a elk's leg in its mouth, and it's walking towards the camera with this look of owning the shit. And I've shared this on Instagram and social media on my channels if you guys follow me there. But the caption that I always put in my mind is, everybody wants to be a wolf until it comes time to do wolf shit. And to be able to enjoy the toils of your labor, you're gonna have to fucking labor. You're gonna have to do the work. You're gonna have to sweat. You're gonna have to tear. You're gonna have to bleed. You're gonna have to lose. You're gonna have to fall down and cut and scrape yourself. And all kinds of bad shit's gonna happen. But they're there to test you to see if you really wanted what the end goal was. You know, everything that gets in your way, every single obstacle that is put between you and whatever your goal is there to test you to see if you really want to achieve that goal and if that's what you really want. Otherwise, you're going to derail and you're going to detour and you're not going to carry on. And, you know, it leads to other conversations too, where there's, of course, times where you don't want to carry on, where, you know, it's a losing game. But it takes a little bit of experience, and guys like us that have had some startups in the past, I know you've had stuff that's failed, I've had stuff that's failed, but you just press on. And quite often it's, that light at the end of the tunnel is a lot closer than what you think. So I guess we'll wrap it up at that. If you have any final words for, the viewers, what would you leave them with today? If you could leave them with a quick 10-second piece of advice.
I would say to actually listen to this guy. No, I'm actually not joking. This is not like a shameless plug, but he's got some good lessons. A lot of the stuff I'll watch in his channel, and it's just like I'm just sitting there nodding on the computer. And if I knew what he's telling you guys when I was 20, this thing would have jet engines attached. Yeah. So good luck, guys.
Thanks, Ian. And this is coming from a guy that I really respect and value his opinion and friendship. He's far more successful than I am. He's done things that I haven't done yet, and I know there's things in my life that I've done that he hasn't. So I really appreciate that. Thanks, man. But yeah, watch my shit, smash the like button, leave a comment below if you have any other questions or requests.
And support him on Patreon.
Yes, and if you want to see more of this content, if you want to see me create this sort of content, it takes time out of my day to create it. It takes time for me to go out and see people like Ian and capture this sort of stuff, above and beyond what I'm doing in the car in the home office. So go to Patreon, support my shit, and become a Patreon. You'll get the extra perks and bonuses there of participating in live Q&As and exclusive content that I make exclusively for Patreons. So thanks for checking it out. Have an amazing day. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.